morning, PotCoins. Today is Sunday, 17 August 2014. We are currently on block 397694 of the Pot chain. Last week's video got more in donations than all previous videos combined. I got a few PotCoins and a bunch of millibits. Thank you all so much for donating. This week I'm asking for even more, but not more in donations, more in views. If you like these videos or support or agree with any of the content, I'm asking that you share this video with more people. I'm not putting out these videos for donations, although I do appreciate them. I do this to get ideas out there, and anyone can agree or disagree with anything I say, but the important thing is talking about issues surrounding cryptocurrencies and pot legalization. It's about raising awareness, even if you disagree with some of my views. Also, if you do disagree with anything I say, please correct me in the comments below. We all make mistakes. If anyone can logically show me that I'm wrong about anything, I will admit to being wrong and change my opinions. Here's what's been going on this week. Potcoin is not going mainstream. Or at least it hasn't yet. And this might be a good thing. I remember a time, a little more than 10 years ago, when I first started growing pot. It was completely illegal and fairly risky. Information about how to grow was hard to come by. I used to go to a different store each month to buy a High Times and pay for it in cash just to get a few tips from growing articles. There still wasn't much on the internet, and I didn't have the internet anyway. I had an elaborate system for going to the grow store too. I would park near a friend's house, take a cab to the grow store, leave what I got in a safe location, and then pick it up the next day before bringing it back to my house. When I would talk to people about growing, I would never say that I grow, and they never said that they grew either. We did use a lot of code words, and we were always careful about what we said and who we said it to. The community was underground at that time because it had to be. And because it was underground, it made the community what it is today. Smokers stuck together and stuck up for each other. There was an us versus them mentality. And sometimes we didn't agree with each other, but we knew that we were us and that they were out to get us. If there was any dispute between growers or sellers or consumers, they got handled at the lowest level. No one could call the cops for anything because we were all wrong. Most people played by the rules that the community made up for itself. Most people didn't skimp, pinch, or short. Most people had to trust the price of pot. Most people followed the natural trends of a truly free market. Sure, there were a few shady people. They tried to rip you off in a variety of ways, from passing off 3 grams as an eighth, or passing off swag as dank, or going heavy on seeds and stems, or even wetting the product to attempt to add weight. They were weeded out, so to speak, just by virtue of the free market. We all had to hide and be careful, and we all knew that. I think that was the main thing that brought us all together back then. Potcoin was intended as a solution to legal marijuana's banking problems. But the legal problems preventing dispensaries from getting bank accounts are also preventing a lot of them from using Potcoin. Dispensaries have to jump through so many hoops to remain compliant with the state, and unfortunately, some of those hoops are too high for Potcoin. It's not that dispensaries don't want to accept Potcoin, they don't know how, since now they have to follow these arbitrary rules. Potcoin should develop more in the free market, also known as the black market. Potcoin wasn't made to follow arbitrary rules from people that are against pot. It was made to go around them. So I'm taking a stand against mainstream adoption and instead focusing on underground adoption. Potcoin would be better off if it was used on Silk Road type markets. That's what got Bitcoin to where it is today. As of right now, the price of a Potcoin has nothing to do with pot. It's solely based on speculation from exchanges. I think we should stop thinking about how to get Potcoins accepted legally and focus more on everywhere that it's still illegal. The cannabis community is rejected by the mainstream. While we have made a lot of progress, the general public still sees us as stupid, lazy, evil monsters, just because we like to smoke sometimes. We know who and what we are, and we don't need the mainstream to validate our existence. We grew, bought, sold, and smoked even when it was completely illegal, and our community and economy was fine. This is proof that we didn't and still don't need permission or acceptance from anyone but ourselves. We can use PotCoin as a community currency and trade PotCoins between ourselves. PotCoin will never have true value while it's still compared to the dollar. It will have value when it can be traded on its own merit. PotCoin was not designed to be a middleman for the dollar. It was created to stay in the community. Payment processors that cash out to dollars put downward pressure on the markets. Let's embrace the peer-to-peer aspect. Talk to your local home growers and dealers about using PotCoins. Attempt to use PotCoins in creative ways in person. If a grower accepts some PotCoins, they can use a few of those to pay someone to help them trim. A paranoid grower could trade some PotCoins for someone to go to the store and buy him some HPS bulbs. Give your buddy some PotCoins as thanks for driving them to the airport. Tell that guy that you know that works at Cinnabon that you'll trade him a few PotCoins for some Cinnabons that are left over at the end of the closing shift. He would have thrown them out anyway otherwise. We can create our own microeconomies for PotCoin, and these microeconomies can merge online through resources like Reddit. Let's get PotCoin away from exchanges and into the hands of our peers. I understand that people still need to pay rent, utilities, and eat in fiat, but let's make the need for fiat minimal, and let's make our communities stronger and better. I'm not expecting that any grower or dealer switch to 100% PotCoin only, but this isn't an all or nothing scenario. Incorporate slowly and see what happens. I want to be part of a cannabis community that accepts people for who they are, a community that supports each other, and a community that wants to spread the truth. That's how I feel it used to be, and that's how I feel it should be as we move forward. Cops gone wild. There's an almost continuous stream of reports of cops committing horrible violent crimes, such as a cop murdering an unarmed kid and then receiving protection from the state, like the current case in Ferguson, Missouri, where Officer Darren Wilson executed Michael Brown. While it's tragic that Michael Brown's life was taken, there are even worse things that cops can do, like the recent case of Oklahoma Highway Patrol Officer Eric Roberts, who kidnapped and raped a 28-year-old woman. Her name has not been released for her own protection. The incident occurred over a fake traffic stop. The officer pulled over the woman and her friend, and without informing her of the reason for the stop, the cop just said, "Your car smells like pot," and then was quoted as saying, "You just made my day." She was separated from her friend, stripped naked, and forced to perform disturbing sexual acts on herself before eventually being taken to a remote location where she was brutally raped by Eric Roberts. This is one of the most horrible stories I've read recently. This woman was mentally and emotionally and physically tortured, and she will have to live with that for the rest of her life. A portion of the income that you earn is stolen from you to pay for this. This is real terrorism. My deepest sympathy goes out to all victims of the state and the abuse of power. Okay, here's a less horrible story, but it's still pretty bad. The governor of New Hampshire has declared a state of emergency after about 44 people have been hospitalized for smoking fake pot. This new batch is called Smacked, and it's even worse than Spice. The main appeal of this dangerous drug is that it doesn't show up on drug tests. This shows once again that real pot should just be legal, and that more people are getting hurt from pot being illegal. Bitcoin is money, but people don't know what money is. Ask almost anyone in the US what is money, and they'll tell you that it's the dollar. Ask in Europe, and they'll say the euro, and so on. But money is not paper or coin or numbers in a bank account. It's not something made by a government. It's a concept for exchanging value. And exchanging value makes the modern world possible in ways that bartering could not. Any retailers accepting Bitcoin that instantly convert to fiat does not accept Bitcoin. If they only accept to convert, it's because they don't understand or don't believe that Bitcoin is money. Bitcoin was created as an alternative to fiat and all the corruption and problems that fiat has caused. If retailers are not ready to accept that, then they are not ready to accept Bitcoin. Again, I realize that at this time, it's extremely difficult to survive solely on cryptos, and unfortunately, there is a need for fiat. But getting cryptos adopted by the mainstream might lead to their downfall, because the general public isn't ready to understand the concepts that cryptos were forged from. If the crypto enthusiasts focused on informing people about fractional reserve banking and all the scams that fiat is made from, people will seek out cryptos on their own. No one will want to switch to a better system if they can't understand that their current system is broken. A lot of people don't trust cryptocurrencies. I think that's a good thing. Sort of. No one should trust cryptocurrencies or fiat or anything else. Everyone should question everything, and after questioning and researching, then come to their own conclusions. But realize that it's ignorant to trust or not trust based on nothing. Don't reject cryptos because you don't understand them, and don't accept fiat because you don't understand it. Gain knowledge and make informed decisions. This week, I'm focusing on World Crypto Network, and not just because my show is on it. There's a great lineup of shows. Mad Bitcoins with Thomas Hunt is the original that started it all. Dark News with Christoph Atlas is about anonymity, privacy, censorship, and dark nets. Bitcoin Talk Show is a weekly call-in show hosted by the victimless criminal Derek J. Friedman and Thomas Hunt, plus guests. Midas Marnie on Bitcoin is hosted by Marnie Melrose and talks about Bitcoin helping small businesses. The Bitcoin Group, the American original, for over the last 10 seconds, the sharpest Satoshis, the best Bitcoins, the hardest cryptocurrency talk. This Week in Cryptos, from Lee Messi, is a show hosted by a bear. It's a light and fun look at the week's crypto news. Chris Before Coffee with Chris Ellis always presents a fresh perspective on the world today. Bitcoin Rush with Holger is all the rush about Bitcoins. And of course, Mad PotCoins hosted by me, Hubert Chanuski. Plus bonus videos of live events and conferences and more. I would also like to thank Original Mr. Coin from the PotCoin Reddit community. He made a great commercial for Mad PotCoins. Here's that clip. That's all for this edition of Mad PotCoins. Smoke 'em if you got 'em.